Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on orders over $10. From August 18th, 2020 through September 25th, 2020, if you use this promo code, you will automatically be entered into a drawing to win a Zendikar Rising set booster box. Also, there is another way to enter where no purchase is necessary. See the link in the description below for full details. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to another episode of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch. A lot to talk about again today. Those reserve list buyouts are continuing to some degree, but I think the bigger story this week is Zendikar Rising. We now know all the cards in the set, all the cards in the commander decks, as well as all the cards on the curated list of reprints that could show up in the set boosters. And there's definitely a pretty big impact right now happening on cards in the secondary market because of that information. Quickly before we get into it all though, just a fast reminder, when you go to FlipsideGaming.com, you can use the Heroes promo code to save 10% on orders over $10. Currently, you can pre-order Zendikar Rising products. They also have Double Masters products there. Collector boosters right now for Zendikar Rising are at a pretty nice price when you use the Heroes promo code. They come down to $211.50, and that does include shipping in the United States. And of course, whenever you use the promo code, it does support the channel, which is always appreciated. So thank you. And without any further ado, let's get into it. We'll begin, as we always do, with Standard. In your top 11 Standard legal cards that have lost value this week, Standard continues to be in a really weird place. Most people can't sit down and play paper Magic. On top of that, rotation is right around the corner. Number 11 is Scavenging Ooze. This is the one from Commander 2016. It goes down 35 cents to $3.40. This has been soft since it got reprinted in Core Set 2021. Also, there's another reprint coming in the Slime Time Secret Lair, but you will find this in some Standard decks, Mono Green Stompy, Grow Aggro, and more. I'm sure it's going to see play next season as well. It also is in decks in Pioneer, Modern, Legacy, and Commander. Number 10, Teferi, Master of Time. Down 35 cents to $19.99. This continues to lose value. You'll find this in Standard Control builds, Sultai Ramp, and more. It even sees a little Pioneer play in Super Friends builds. On top of that, it is in a number of Commander decks too, including Atraxa Praetor's Voice, which just got reprinted in Double Masters. Number 9 is Ugin, the Spirit Dragon from Fate Reforged, down 35 cents to $30.27. Of course, this has been soft since the reprinting in Core Set 2021 as well, but it is in a number of Standard decks, and again, I'm sure you're going to see this a lot next season too. It's currently in Sultai Control, Temur Adventure, Sultai Ramp, Temur Elementals, and more. Pioneer, this is in Lotus Combo and more there. Modern, you'll find it in Tron builds, and it also sees some Legacy play, but perhaps the reason it's still holding a $30 price tag at this point is because it is a highly played Commander card. Number 8 is Cavalier of Thorns. It goes down 37 cents to $4.59. This one is rotating out this season. Currently in Standard, you'll find this in Temur Elementals, but the problem is you don't see this played a whole lot in Pioneer or Modern, for example. It does see a little Commander play, though. Number 7 is Heroic Intervention, the one from Aether Revolt, down 38 cents to $7.58. Another card that was reprinted in Core Set 2021. You'll find this one, though, in Standard decks like Mono Green Stompy, Gruul Aggro, and more. It's also a highly played Commander card. Number 6 is Steam Vents from Guild Pack, down 39 cents to $18.61. Of course, all the Shocklands will be rotating out. This one has been especially soft recently, though, because there was one copy of the Guilds of Ravnica version of this in the Allied Fires 2020 Challenger deck, and every once in a while it will surge back for a week, but overall it has been losing value since that came out. Now you will find this in a number of current Standard builds, Temur Adventures, Temur Elementals, Temur Flashes, and Tempo, and more. That doesn't mean too much right now, though, considering rotation is about to happen. When this does rotate out, though, this and all the Shocklands are going to continue to see play in Pioneer, Modern, and Commander. Number 5, another Shockland here with Blood Crypt from Dissension. It goes down 43 cents to $26. Currently, you'll find this one in Mardu Winota, Knights builds, and more. Number 4, Massacre Worm from Meriden Besieged goes down 51 cents to $10. Another card that was reprinted in Core Set 2021. This one sees Commander play in Yurok the Desecrated builds, and much more. Number 3 is Chandra Awakened Inferno, down 62 cents to $10.31. Not really seeing a whole lot of Standard play currently. Sees a little Pioneer play in Jeskai Super Friends, a little Legacy play in Mono Red Prison, and sometimes lands. In Commander, this is in Chandra Fire of Kaladesh builds and others. Number 2, Uro Titan of Nature's Wrath, down $1.90 to $45.13. This card has been going down quite a bit recently, but that is just because it had a pretty high price point going into this past season. Standard cards really have a hard time maintaining price points above $50 for very long, even if they are super good like this one is. You know next season it's going to continue to see play. It's currently in Sultai Ramp, Sultai Control, Temur Elementals, Temur Flash, and more. and it does see Pioneer, Modern, Legacy, and Commander play too. Number 1, another card that was in Core Set 2021, Grim Tutor. That copy of the card goes down 34 cents this week to $14.02. The starter 1999 copy goes down $1.95 to $176.47. And it feels like it's been hovering around that $175 mark now for a little while. We'll have to see what it does long term. But like all tutors, this will see Commander play, and currently it's getting some increased play now in builds like Vito Thorn of the Duskgrows and Tiny Bones Trinket Thief. That brings us to the top 6 standard legal cards that have gained value this week. Coming in at number 6 is a card that's rotating out, Sorin Imperious Bloodlord. It goes up 48 cents to $12.78. But this does see Pioneer play in Mono Black Vampires, also a popular Commander card in Edgar Markov, Vito Thorn of the Duskgrows, and more. On top of that, there's a new Baron Sengir that's coming in Commander Legends. We're going to see that later in the video. Also, Zendikar Rising is bringing us new vampires. One example of that is this card right here, Drana the Last Blood Chief. Number 5, one of the biggest standard cards you can find right now, Shark Typhoon goes up 50 cents to $12.75. This is in Sultai Ramp, Control builds, Teamer Flash, and more. Also currently seeing play in Pioneer, Modern, Legacy, and Commander. Number 4, Assassin's Trophy. This card is rotating out, but it really doesn't see a whole lot of standard play to begin with. It goes up 75 cents this week to $13.51. You will find this, though, in numerous builds in Pioneer, Modern, Legacy, Vintage, and Commander. Number 3 is a shock land not going down. It is Sacred Foundry from Ravnica City of Guilds, up 79 cents to $16.97 this week. This sees play in Mardu Winota, Mardu Knights, and more. And like all these shock lands, it will continue to see play in Pioneer, Modern, and Commander. Number 2 is Outlaws Merriment, up $1.90 to $4.21. Currently seeing some Commander play, but that's not why it's going up in value right now. Zendikar Rising is bringing us a new tribal mechanic where you have some cards that care about certain creature types that you might have in play, and those creature types are Cleric, Warrior, Rogue, and Wizard. Also, Orzhov is bringing us a Cleric tribal theme. One example of that is this card right here, Aura Skyclave Hierophant. And number 1 is Elder Gargaroth. This card is pretty hot right now. It's going up $2.08 to $12.84, sometimes found in Sultai Ramp. You'll find this one, though, in Mono Green Stompy consistently and other decks in Standard. After rotation, I think it's going to show up in a lot of different places. Also, it's seeing a good amount of play in Pioneer, Modern, and Commander. Speaking of Pioneer, time for your top 5 Pioneer legal cards that have lost value this week. Number 5 is Nykthos Shrine to Nyx from Theros. It goes down $1.05 to $23.74. This is a pretty popular Pioneer card. You'll find this in Mono Green Planeswalkers, Mono Black Vampires, also see some Modern play, lots of Commander play in various builds. Why is this card losing so much value right now? Well, we found out this week it's going to be reprinted in that curated list of reprints. Now, considering there's 300 cards on that list, the odds of pulling any particular card are going to be pretty tough. But we don't know 2 things. We don't know exactly how many set boosters are going to be distributed. There could be quite a few. And secondly, we don't know if they're going to use the same reprint list in future sets. That's what they do on Magic Online, for example. It really wouldn't surprise me if this curated list sticks around for the whole year and maybe you have a chance to pull these cards in every standard set that comes out in set booster style products. So right now, many of these cards are losing some value, and I do think in the long term they will stabilize down at least a little bit depending on the card because of the extra numbers out there. Number 4, the Scarab God from Hour of Devastation, recently reprinted of course in Double Masters. It goes down $1.11 to $19.02. This is in Niv-Delite sideboards. Also a very popular commander and sees play in the 99 of many builds as well. Number 3, Jace Vryn's Prodigy. It goes down $1.27 to $25.43. This continues to lose value and has been soft since the banning of Inverter of Truth and Pioneer. It does still see play though in the Sultai Delirium decks many times. Additionally, you'll find this in some Vintage and Commander decks too. Number 2 is Cyclonic Rift. It sees a little Pioneer play in Wilderness Reclamation. It also gets a little Modern play in Mono Blue Tron. However, the reason this card is the card that it is because of Commander. This is highly played there. And it did get a reprinting in Double Masters, bringing the price down. This week, these 2 copies are going down relatively significantly. Return to Ravnica down $1.08 to $24.32. Modern Masters 2017 down $1.47 to $25.97. Number 1 is Emrakul, the Promised End. It goes down $1.59 to $37.74. This card did have some pretty big spikes a while back, and ever since then it's been stabilizing, trying to find its correct price point considering the play it does see. In Pioneer, you will find this in Sultai Delirium, many times also in Mono Green Planeswalkers. Modern, it's in Tron builds, and also this is a good Commander card in a few different builds, including Kozilek the Great Distortion. Alright, that's going to bring us to the top 5 Pioneer legal cards that have gained value this week, and you're going to notice in this section and also going forward in the video The key driver for cards going up in value continues to be Commander. Number 5 is Neheb the Eternal, up $1.28 to $12.93. This is a popular commander, and it also shows up in the 99 of many other builds. Zendikar Rising, though, did show us a new legendary Minotaur this week, which is why this particular card is hot right now. That is Morag, Fury of Akum. Number 4 is Hellkite Tyrant from Gatecrash, going up $1.65 to $14.46. This is in a number of commander builds where the commander was recently reprinted, decks like Kali of the Vast, the Ur-Dragon, and Breya Ethereum Shaper. Number 3 is Omnith Locus of Rage, up $1.66 to $14.11. There is a lot happening around this card. Currently, it sees a lot of commander play, we know that. But the reason it's moving right now is because of Zendikar Rising previews. We saw a lot of cards that are landfall cards or support for landfall. Additionally, we even saw some elemental support out there. And that includes a powerful elemental in the form of a new Omnith, which we'll look at in just a second. And beyond that, one of the Zendikar commander decks has a landfall theme. So why is this card not going up more than $1.66? It feels like it should be poised to explode, right? Well, maybe it was, but we found out that it's getting reprinted in 2 different places. That Zendikar commander deck I mentioned, Land's Wrath, is going to be in there. It's also one of the cards that could show up from the list and set boosters. Before we move on, though, here's the Omnith Locus of Creation card that was previewed, which I alluded to a moment ago. And also here's the commander for that Land's Wrath deck, Obun Moldaya Ancestor. Number 2 is Soulscar Mage. This card continues to stay hot. It goes up $2.17 to $8.20. And this is a wizard, but I don't think that's necessarily why it's climbing this much. I think it's because of the Pioneer and Modern play that it sees. In Pioneer, this is in Mono Red Aggro, Burn, and more. Modern, it's in Blitz, Lurrus Aggro, and more there. And it even sees a little Legacy and Commander play too. Number 1 is Crucible of Worlds, and this is a great card. Doesn't see as much play right now in Constructed Magic as it once did, but can still show up in some Pioneer, Legacy, and Vintage decks. Highly played Commander card though in Lands builds and others. But the main reason it's moving this much right now, of course, is those Zendikar Rising previews. We have a lot of new lands now that can play with this, and also a lot of new cards with landfall triggers. I mentioned the Commander deck as well earlier that's coming out. The 10th edition copy goes up $3.44 to $38.39. Core Set 2019 goes up $6.01 to $38.43. And 5th Dawn goes up $12.10 to $43.50. And that brings us to Modern in your top 5 Modern legal cards that have lost value this week. Number 5 is Gemstone Caverns, down $4 to $48.25, and this card started dipping last week after a lot of increases, so it could have been normal stabilization, sure, but it also coincided with the announcement of the Time Spiral Remastered set coming out next year. Perhaps this card could get a reprint. If it does, it stands to lose a lot of value potentially. It does see Modern play though, and Mono Blue Tron also gets a fair amount of Commander play. Number 4 is Craterhoof Behemoth from Avacyn Restored, goes down $4.19 to $46.20, recently reprinted in Jumpstart, which is why it is going down in value. You'll find this in Legacy Elves builds, Commanderkin and Bender Prodigy, and more. Number 3 is Doubling Season from Battle Bond. It goes down $4.37 to $50.73, another card reprinted in Double Masters. Also a highly played Commander card. You'll find this in Atraxa builds and many others. Number 2 is Avacyn Angel of Hope from Iconic Masters, and you guessed it, another card that was reprinted in Double Masters. This one goes down $4.61 to $36.47, and this is a very popular commander, shows up in other builds too, like Kaalia of the Vast and much more. Remember, Kaalia was also reprinted in Double Masters. Number 1 is Academy Ruins from Modern Masters. It goes down $5.64 to $18.81, and say it with me now, this was reprinted in Double Masters. You'll find this one in Mono Blue Tron. It's also a highly played commander card too. It's in Urza Lord High Artificer and Breya Ethereum Shaper builds, for example. Breya is another card you'll find in Double Masters. And that takes us to the top 6 Modern legal cards that have gained value this week. Coming in at number 6 is Cloud Key. It goes up $3.24 to $27.70. This is in Commander Elsha of the Infinite and many other builds. Number 5 is Glimpse, the Unthinkable. This is the copy from the Guilds of Ravnica Dimir Guild Kit. It goes up $3.28 to $13.16, and this does see Modern play. You'll find this in Mill and Crabvine builds. Also, it does see Commander play in a lot of different places. One such deck is Phoenix, God of Deception, and that was reprinted not too long ago in foil in one of the Theros Stargazing Secret Lairs. But the reason this is going up this much right now is because of the other Zendikar Rising Commander deck that was previewed. That deck is called Sneak Attack, and it does have a rogue/mill theme. This is the commander of that deck, Enowan the Rune Thief. Number 4, another card that sees a ton of play in a lot of different decks in Commander. It is Staff of Domination, going up $3.32 to $59.02. This is great when you have extra mana, and it's also a combo enabler. Number 3 is Knowledge Exploitation, and this is a good time to use my one per video. This card is from Morningtide, and as you know, there was a recession in the game during that time, less packs or cracks, so when some of these rares, especially if they've never been reprinted before, find a little attention on them, they tend to get spiky, sometimes even the uncommons, but this one goes up $4.28 this week to $7.99. And even though this currently does see Commander play, the reason it's going up right now is because it would be a good upgrade to that Zendikar Rising Sneak Attack Commander deck. Number 2 is Admonition Angel from World Wake. It goes up $5.44 to $13.65. So this card started going up in value a little over a week ago as players saw the Zendikar Rising previews around Landfall coming out. Then we found out through a leak there was going to be a Landfall Commander deck. However, in true Twilight Zone fashion, there is a twist to this, and this card is being reprinted in that Land's Wrath Commander deck. So it has slowed down a little bit since that news came out, but it is still going up week to week. We'll have to keep an eye on it. I would assume it will start to slow down and stabilize back down very shortly. And number 1 for the second week in a row is Aboro Palace in the Clouds, up $11.59 to $59.45. This does currently see Commander play in Techova, Benthic, Druid builds, and more. Also sees a little Modern play too, but of course this is moving up because of the way it enables landfall mechanics. Alright, that brings us to the Vintage Spotlight. So we're going to see some cards that are moving up, maybe legitimately because they are good cards. We're going to see some cards that are being bought out. We're going to see some panic buys in this section and even some market manipulation. This week's Vintage Spotlight has it all. Now, as I have been doing recently in this section, I will only tell you if the card is not on the reserve list since that's just easier. Solarian Academy is first. It goes up $3.25 this week to $109.25. This card has been relatively hot. It is a solid vintage card even though it is restricted there, but it is banned in Commander. Academy Rector, this is up $5.04 this week to $88.02, another solid Commander card. It's in those enchantment heavy builds. Also, it's in Legacy Aloran and Rector fit decks too. Yawgmoth's Whale from Urza Saga, this did get a reprinting as a Judge foil before they closed that loophole. It goes up $5.40 to $166.50 this week, and this is another really good vintage and Commander card. City of Traders goes up $5.60 to $207.99, sees a ton of Legacy play, Mono Red Prison, Sneak and Show, Omnitel, and more. Fastbond from Revised, this one's kind of interesting because it was seeing a fair amount of vintage play for a while. I'm not seeing it played all that much now though, and it is banned in Commander. It goes up $5.62 this week to $29.41. Next we have a Plains, so no, it's not on the reserve list, but it's a very special Plains, the one you see on the screen there. It is the Phyrexian Plains from Jumpstart. Now this week, some more Jumpstart products started to creep out there, but Wizards did say there is more coming. I did notice some of the cards did begin to go down, but others that are more sought after are creeping up like this one. It goes up $6.64 this week to $24.65. Here's another Jumpstart card, so obviously not on the reserve list, but it is going up like the previous one. It is Allosaurus Shepherd. It goes up $6.68 to $99.48. And this is seeing a ton of Legacy play in Elves, Mono Green Cloudpost, and in fact, sees Commander play too. Wheel of Fortune from Revised, this did get one more printing as a Judge foil again before they close the loophole. It goes up $9.36 to $247.97. Fantastic vintage card, fantastic Commander card. This has seen increased play in the Commander format and those Zebras, the Writhing Storm decks recently. Another card you'll find in a lot of vintage and a lot of Commander decks. It's not on the reserve list though. It is Vampiric Tutor. 6th edition goes up $4.49 to $104.48. Eternal Masters up $11.81 to $136.79. Same story here, not on the reserve list, but an excellent card in multiple Commander builds and a lot of vintage builds. It is Mana Crypt. Now this was reprinted in Double Masters as well as Mystery Boosters not too long ago, but this original book giveaway version of the card is going up this week, $11.98 to $3.75. Rofellos Llanowar Emissary, another card that is banned in Commander, actually doesn't really see a whole lot of play outside of cubes currently. This goes up $13.29 to $44.09 this week, and I do think people might be speculating on certain cards that they feel at some point could become unbanned in Commander. Here's Island of Wak Wak going up $18.40 this week to $190. Tuckner Deathlock. Now this one is a human wizard. It's going up $18.73 to $35. Tundra, you'll see a number of revised dual lands on here. Again, this is just the first. This goes up $18.95 to $444.55. Hellfire goes up $19.64 to $94.94. Lady Kelleria, this goes up $20.67 to $36.19. Triskelion, this is the original one from Antiquities. It's not on the reserve list. You can get cheaper copies if you want to. In fact, it's a modern legal card. This copy, though, goes up $22.47 to $109.96. Just goes to show you it's not just about reserve list buyouts. A lot of people are just picking up some of these classic cards that are hard to find in good condition. Here's another example. Verduran Enchantress from Unlimited. This goes up 22.84 to 65.69. Not on the reserve list. There's plenty of cheap copies out there in other sets. Volcanic Island from Revised up 33.84 to 598.49. Revised Savannah goes up 37.02 to 260. Berserk from Unlimited, not on the reserve list, goes up 38.83 to 114.99. Boris Devilboon, actually a zombie wizard, it goes up 42.94 this week to 61.18. Underground Sea from Revised up 54.55 to 664.99. Taiga from Revised up 92.19 to 379.99. Tropical Island from Revised. Now we might be getting into the manipulation territory a little bit from this point forward in the section, but this goes up technically 145.24 to 630.74 this week. Now we're definitely getting into manipulated territory. Mirror Universe up $150 in a set to $450. So if you go online and see what these are actually selling for, high-grade copies are typically moving between $200 and $240. North Star technically going up $158.15 to $286, but again, copies are not moving for that. High-grade copies are selling between $85 and $100. Copy Artifact from Unlimited. We saw the revised copy got bought out last week. This week, it's this one going up $214.50 to $401.99. However, I did look online and there are copies moving at average for this price. Some a lot less, but some a lot more too. So perhaps someone is just really dedicated to this buyout. I don't know. Next, we have Bartel Runeaxe. This goes up $216.80 to $239.07. Technically, this is a giant warrior. I will give it that. But if you look online, high-grade copies are going between $25 and $55 currently. And then we have Moat going up 406 cents to $1,100. Or is it? High-grade copies are moving for about $650 to $875, which is still a lot of money. And that brings us to the Commander Spotlight. In this section, you will notice a few cards that are those cheaper reserve list cards that maybe are being picked up because of a panic buy. Sometimes players see the big buyouts occurring and they think, okay, I better pick up that reserve list card that I've been putting off for a while. And that will cause them to move anywhere from a little bit to a lot at certain times, depending on what inventory looks like. But with that being said, let's see what's happening in the world of Commander. Cloudstone Curio from Ravnica, City of Guilds, solid commander card here. It's in a lot of different builds, many times played with Dockside Extortionist. It goes up $1 to $34.97. Felwar Stone from 9th edition up $1.02 to $6.94, highly played mana rock in the format. Shivan Dragon from Revised sees a little commander play. This goes up $1.03 this week to $10.02 as it dries up a little bit in the marketplace. Bribery from 8th edition up $1.08 to $27.10. This does see play in Centriplets builds, and that did get reprinted as a foil in WPN Mystery Boosters. Ob Nixilis the Fallen from Zendikar up $1.09 to $13.24. This is moving mostly again because of Zendikar Rising previews, the landfall cards, and cards that support landfall. Currently, though, it does see play in Lord Windgrace builds and more. Didgeridoo on the reserve list. It goes up $1.11 to $12.50. You'll find this one in Sethron Herloon General builds. Also, too, remember we saw that new legendary Minotaur from Zendikar Rising a little bit ago. Morag Fury of Akum. Karn Silver Golem from Urza Saga. This is on the reserve list, but did get 2 foil printings before they closed that loophole. There was an Arena promo foil and also a foil version in From the Vault Relics. Sometimes this does see play as a commander, also shows up in the 99 of many decks. And on top of that, it did get a Tellurian Community College mention this week, which could have brought some more eyes on it. It goes up $1.11 to $18.49. Preacher on the reserve list goes up $1.11 to $28.31. Now, this is actually a cleric. Currently, it does see a little commander play. Enlightened Tutor from Eternal Masters. This was going up a lot earlier in the week. Right now, only $1.11 to $50.99. Fantastic card in a lot of different commander decks. It does even see a little legacy play in Jeskai Control. But we did find out that it is being reprinted in the list, so it could show up in those Zendikar Rising set boosters. Demonic Tutor, this is the one from Revised. It goes up $1.12 to $41.19. And this does see vintage play, but it's also a highly played commander card in many decks. Sarah's Sanctum on the reserve list up $1.14 to $190.95. Good in enchantment heavy commander builds. Kozilek Butcher of Truth from Modern Masters 2015 up $1.17 to $57.03. This is in a lot of different commander decks, including Kozilek the Great Distortion. Sands of Time on the reserve list goes up $1.19 to $4. This is drying up in the marketplace for the most part, but does see a little commander play. Exorcist on the reserve list, also a cleric. It goes up $1.23 to $8.22. Mirror Gallery up $1.23 to $13.99. This is found sometimes in the recently reprinted Riku of Two Reflections builds and more. Time Spiral on the reserve list up $1.25 to $120.09. This card's been quiet for a while. Maybe it's going to start creeping up again. It has seen increased play in Commander and Xera's the Writhing Storm builds. Oracle of Moldaya, this is the one from Jumpstart, going up $1.26 this week to $35.30 as it tries to find its price point. This is another card that gets better with those Zendikar Rising previews we've been seeing. Also, it's already a highly played Commander card in lands builds and more. Najeela the Blade Blossom up $1.28 to $15.88. Very, very popular Commander. Also, it could be getting a push by one of the Zendikar Rising previews from a couple weeks ago. That is Nahiri, Heir of the Ancients. Dockside Extortionist, we mentioned this one earlier. Fantastic Commander card. Shows up in a lot of different builds. Great combo enabler. It goes up $1.28 to $31.83. Reflecting Pull from Conspiracy. It goes up $1.29 to $22.95. Highly played mana-based card in Commander. Stone Calendar on the reserve list also sees a little Commander play. It goes up $1.32 to $17.29. Force of Will from Alliances. Maybe this is starting to stabilize from that Double Masters reprint. It goes up $1.33 this week to $110. Fantastic Legacy, Vintage, and Commander card. Homeward Path. This is the one from Commander 2013. It goes up $1.37 to $12.88. Great Commander utility land. Platinum Angel, this is in Kali of the Vast builds and many others. Magic 2011 up $1.37 to $11. 10th edition up $1.40 to $10.46. This is another card that's going to show up in Zendikar Rising set boosters. Doomsday from Masters 25 goes up $1.40 to $12.39. This is in Legacy and Vintage Doomsday builds. It also has seen more Commander play since Thassa's Oracle has been around, and it is in a variety of different decks there, including Yuriko the Tiger's Shadow, which was reprinted in Mystery Boosters not too long ago. Phyrexian Altar from Invasion up $1.41 to $43.21, popular Commander card in Corvold Faker's King decks, and much more. City of Shadows, this is on the reserve list. It goes up $1.41 to $46.07, sees a little Commander play. This had a big spike a few weeks ago. Now it looks like maybe it's trying to find its new price point. Ulamog the Infinite Gyre from Modern Masters 2015 up $1.49 to $46.87. This is another card you'll find in Kozilek the Great Distortion builds and more in Commander. Kaldoran Outpost, this was mentioned on that same Tolarian Community College video this week. It is on the reserve list, sees a little Commander play. It goes up $1.55 to $10. Akroma's Memorial for Magic 2013. It goes up $1.57 to $29.72. Now, many times you'll find this in Reese the Redeem builds. Of course, that got reprinted recently in Mystery Boosters and Double Masters. Shows up in other places too. But it turns out this card is also going to be on the list. Mana Flare, it goes up $1.66 to $5.88. This is the copy from 5th edition. You'll find this one in Kenrith the Returned King and much more in Commander. Aphiomancer, this goes up $1.75 to $19.99. Played in Yawgmoth, Thran Physician, and more. Archive Trap goes up $1.88 to $12.99. This is in Modern Mill, but it's been seeing more play in Commander recently in those Bruvak the Grandiloquent decks. Also, it's in other decks too, like the Phoenix God of Deception deck I mentioned earlier, and another card that could be getting a push from Anawan the Rune Thief. Godsire is going up $1.91 to $16.71. This is from Shards of Alara. But guess what? You just made the list. It's going to be on that curated list as well. It is in a number of builds, including Mael the Anima. Nature's Will, many times you'll find this in Najeela the Blade Blossom decks, and those could become more popular with some of the emphasis on warriors we saw in Zendikar Rising. This goes up $2 to $28.49. Grand Arbiter Augustin IV up $203 to $23.49. This is the one for Modern Masters. Very popular Commander. Sometimes, though, you will find this in Bruvak the Grandiloquent decks that has Persistent Petitioners in it. And not only is this just good in the deck generally, but it also is an advisor. Command Beacon from Commander 2015 up $207 to $28.49. This is another card that has a reprint coming on that list. Also, it's a solid Commander utility land. Arena from Time Spiral goes up $209 to $525. This has seen increased play in Neath of the Dire Hunt builds. Scroll Rack from Tempest. This goes up $213 to $98.49. Now, this card had a huge jump earlier in the week, but it has calmed down in the last 24 hours or so. Why is that? That's because Scroll Rack, you just made the list. This is another card that's going to show up in Zendikar Rising set boosters. Steel Shaper's Gift, this goes up $218 to $14.42. This card could also be getting a little push from Nahiri, Heir of the Ancients. Currently it sees play in Sir Gwyn, Hero of Ashvale builds, and more. Also gets a little modern play. Natural Order from Eternal Masters, it goes up $218 to $29.76. This is in builds like Selvala, Heart of the Wilds. Also sees Legacy play in Elves and more. There it is, Bruvak the Grandiloquent. We talked a lot about this card from Jumpstart. It goes up $219 to $43.97. Pretty popular Commander. Also could be getting a little push from Anawan the Rune Thief as well. Bitter Blossom from Ultimate Masters up 223 to 3402. This sees play in Alila Artful Provocateur builds and much more. Mana Vault from 5th edition up $230 to $52. Sees vintage play and a lot of commander play in various builds. Sensei's Divining Top from Eternal Masters up 232 to 5268. Another highly played commander card, especially good in Yuriko of the Tiger's Shadow builds. Also sees vintage play. Rings of Bright Hearth from Lorwyn, a very solid commander card, popular combo enabler. You'll find this one in Atraxa Praetor's Voice builds and much more. It goes up 242 to 7322. City of Brass, huge commander mana-based card, also sees play in Modern Ad Nauseam and Modern as well as Legacy Dredge. 7th edition up $1.97 to $21.79. The Modern Event Deck copy goes up $243 to $21.96. Bloom Tender from Eventide goes up $260 to $40.80. This was reprinted in Mystery Boosters, but this copy's been rebounding. It is a huge commander card. You'll find this in Kinnan, Bonder Prodigy, and much more. Humility on the reserve list goes up $263 to $49.99. Sometimes this is in Atraxa builds and others. Also sees Legacy play in Jeskai Control. Gift of Estates. This is the copy from Portal, probably just drying up in good condition this week, going up $272 to $838. It does see a fair amount of commander play though. Patriarch's Bidding. This is getting a push from the Cleric cards in Zendikar Rising, but it is a fantastic card for tribal builds. It goes up $282 to $27.43. Birds of Paradise from 6th edition goes up $284 to $13.50. This is a case where this particular copy is just drying up a little bit this week. This card also got a recent reprint in the Ornithological Study Secret Lair. It's a highly played commander card. Also sees play in Modern, Devoted Devastation, and more. And beyond that, gets Legacy and Vintage play too. Here's another Omnith. Omnith Locus of Mana this time goes up $292 to $30. And this is a popular commander, but oddly enough, we know this is getting reprinted in Commander Collection Green. Braid of Fire from Cold Snap up $313 to $19.99. Now, this was reprinted not too long ago as a foil in WPN Mystery Boosters. It does see play in a number of different commander builds, but the reason it's going up right now is one of the new Zendikar Rising cards. That is Leyline Tyrant. These two cards are going to play very well together. Volrath Shapeshifter doesn't see a ton of play right now in Commander, but it is a pretty decent card, and it is on the reserve list. It goes up $341 to $991. Cursed Totem from 6th edition, again, sees a fair amount of play in various decks. It goes up $378 to $24.75. Pelincron on the reserve list. It goes up $443 to $48.50. This is good in Riku of Two Reflections build, since it does combo with that card. Also combos with Emiel the Blessed from Jumpstart. Mana Web on the reserve list, but it does see a little commander play. It goes up $493 to $24.99. Vesuvian Doppelganger from Revised on the reserve list. Another card that does see play in Riku of Two Reflections builds sometimes and other places too. It goes up $504 to $20.98. Saldevi Excavations, another reserve list card drying up in good condition this week. It goes up $509 to $15.94. Urtai Wizard Adept. This is a wizard and it's on the reserve list. It goes up $599 to $19.79. Tainted Pact up $753 to $79.94. This has seen an increased amount of play since Thassa's Oracle came out. Baron Sengir. This was on that Tolarian Community College video I mentioned earlier. And the professor pointed out that this is on the reserve list. Maybe some people didn't know that until then, and perhaps that's why it's going up a little bit. Or it could just be because of the extra eyes on it. But it's going up $7.64 this week to $10. And we are getting some new vampires in Zendikar Rising, and a new Baron Sengir actually is coming in Commander Legends. Sengir the Dark Baron. Mana Drain from Iconic Masters. It goes up $808 to $169.76. Fantastic commander card in multiple builds, especially good in competitive ones. Brain Geyser from Revised. This is on the reserve list. It goes up $817 to $27.92. This has seen increased play in Zexara the Exemplary builds recently, and it did get a Command Zone mention this week as well. Scorched Ruins on the reserve list up $998 to $34.67. This card's been quiet for a little while. It does see a little commander play. Radiant Archangel. It is an angel. It's on the reserve list, and there have been some new angels shown in Zendikar Rising, but I think the reason this card reignited this week is because it was featured on Commander Versus. It goes up $17.91 to $39.58. Survival of the Fittest from Exodus on the reserve list. It did get a Judge foil printing before they closed that loophole. It goes up $20.20 to $240. And this does see commander play in a variety of different decks. Replenish. This is on the reserve list. It goes up $22.62 to $120. This does see play in enchantment heavy builds and has seen more play recently in those Sisei Weatherlight Captain decks using the new Core Set 2021 shrines. Asmira Holy Avenger up $23.72 to $24.95. This appears to be a buyout, but I think it was targeted because it is on the reserve list and it is a cleric. Next, we have Fork on the reserve list that has seen increased play in Calamax the Stormsire decks. The revised copy goes up $5.39 to $35.11, unlimited up $25 to $125.16. Sliver Queen is the Sliver Lord on the reserve list, and these commander decks have been popular really ever since the reprinting of Sliver Hive Lord and Sliver Overlord. This goes up $28.68 to $246.18. Metalworker on the reserve list, and this card's been pretty hot recently. It goes up $34.29 this week to $154.10. You'll find this in commander builds like Urza Lord High Artificer, Kozilek the Great Distortion, Joyra Weatherlight Captain, which was reprinted in Double Masters, and more. That brings us to the Premium Spotlight, and I'll give my quick disclaimer here. I don't like to spend too much time on rare promos or foils, because if any given week that particular card did not have a lot of sales in good condition online, then the data could be skewed or worse yet manipulated, and there is some manipulation going on out there this week for sure, so be careful. But I like to pick at least one card every week that feels like it's moving at least mostly naturally with the market. This week I chose Radiant Archangel. The foil from Urza's Legacy goes up $14.99 to $199.99. That was another long one, but this does it for this week's Market Watch. It does feel like things are starting to calm down a little bit. We'll have to see what happens next week. But until next time, hey, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible through the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.